Hi, this is Christy with Vegan Food for Thought, and we're in my amazing exercise room right now. Today I wanted to do the topic of how I eat, the diet that I eat, basically a plant-based, vegan, oil-free, gluten-free diet, and how I do that when I eat out. I usually eat out probably for anywhere from like 4 to 6 times a week, depending on how busy I am or where I am. I like to bring a lot of food with me. I pack a lot of foods. Mainly, my breakfast is like the easiest thing. I usually just get a smoothie, make a smoothie at home, and then I usually pack snacks for the day when I go out. But most of the time I just eat out when I don't usually bring food with me, but it's easier sometimes. So usually on the weekends I can pretty much eat anywhere. Well, I could eat anywhere technically if I wanted to. That might take a little bit more preparing, but technically I could eat anywhere if they have salads, or baked potatoes are always a good option. At like steakhouses and stuff, they can just bring them to you with nothing on them. That's usually not a problem. Because they are that way anyways, but I've done that before. I wouldn't say that's my favorite thing to do. I've gone as far as to bring like some sort of like almond nut sauce to put on, like a cheesy sauce on potatoes from steakhouses, just so that I feel like, there's some variety. I've had people provide like avocados, green onions, and lemon to squeeze on top with a little bit of salt is really good. I enjoy that, but then again, I don't care to, like, if I were to fill up, I'd have to eat like 4 of those, so like, or that in a salad. And usually salad portions are too small for me to like actually, sustain myself off of if it's like a dinner. But I could, if it's like a salad bar, I've done that before. But then the salad bars just really depend, because I kind of like, my salads are usually, if I don't have, a dressing that I'm adding on top, like with tahini or something, then I usually survive off of avocados and lemon and salt on my salads. That's one of my favorite things. Yeah, and Hunter is providing the bells in the background for us today. Anyways, so that's to start. Like, those are probably the most difficult places to eat out, would be like a steakhouse, or, some place that's like, we serve meat, and they usually have some sort of something that I could eat. Like, a lot of places have fruit salads. I've gotten plenty of those, and they're usually pretty good. I mean, like, I think most places know they serve fruit that's in season and stuff, and I mean, if it's anywhere that's any good at all, depending. I'm picky because I don't like, unripe honeydew or things like that, but, if I'm hungry enough, sometimes I'll eat, but usually I don't have to. And if anything, if there isn't a place to eat where I am, sometimes I can usually always find like a Jamba Juice, or like Costco. I'll just go to Costco and buy like a pound of berries, like especially this time of year, because they have things like that, but like they have bags of apples and things that are organic too. And so I'll just eat that for like my lunch meal sometimes. When it's usually like, if it's just me, I don't care. I actually, it's not that I don't care, I enjoy eating berries and things like that, like, a whole meal of that if I can. If I can afford to, and I can only, like, it's only cost effective if it's at like Costco or like a farmer's market would be ideal, but I don't think those are in season right now. So anyways, those are like the hardest places to eat at, I would say. And from there, what I go off of is I use the app, I don't use the app, but the website, it's free, called happycow.com. I use that, and you can type in the name of any town that you're planning on being at, and then just type in the word vegan or vegetarian, and they'll tell you all of the options and things that they have. Now, eating oil-free and gluten-free is definitely an added challenge, and yeast-free also. Sometimes I just forget to even ask about that, and honestly, it's not my main concern, but there is new information about eating yeast in people with autoimmune diseases, and so I would qualify for that, having Hashimoto's. and that usually that I think he said in the video that people with autoimmune things tend to be sensitive to yeast, or could have a yeast allergy. And so I've noticed maybe a little bit of an improvement in my digestion because of that. Mainly the thing that I notice is when I eat oil, I have candida symptoms that flare up very easily and quickly, and I think I've mentioned that before in previous videos, that my tongue gets like thrush on it like instantly the next day if I eat. It wouldn't be like if I ate a tiny bit of oil. I've gotten away with like pizzas and things. If it's something that they use on the pan, it's usually okay, but if they're like pouring it in or like frying something, I just can't get away with that. And especially chocolate's kind of one of my things that I love to eat, but I have trouble eating chocolate in moderation. Like if and it might be a problem, the problem is that I restrict myself on eating chocolate, but I think that cacao is totally great without the fat, but for some reason when I eat chocolate bars or anything chocolate, it just is so bad on my digestion and my tongue and everything, and so I just don't do that anymore for the time being until I feel better, or who knows how long. I really can't say like who knows how long that'll be, but anyways, eating out there usually isn't like too much stuff with chocolate. But if I'm in a restaurant that has like some really good, I've had like, it was sweet potato pudding made from chocolate and avocados. It was like, you know, when people know what they're doing with that, it can taste amazing and it's really good. And that stuff doesn't honestly usually give me any issues. There's another spot that I go to that has like a chocolate pudding that's made from like coconut milk and stuff, and it's really good and really filling, and I can't say I've ever had an issue with that either. But for me, if I were to eat something, you know, like that's drenched in coconut oil, or just, you know, there's a difference, like eating French fries versus eating something that's been lightly just sprinkled with oil. And I tend to like completely avoid anything with any oil. And I get my salads actually oil-free or with the dressing on the side, or not at all. And then I add lemon and salt usually to any salad, as long as it has avocado or some type of fat, just to like make it taste good. So I don't feel like I'm depriving myself of anything necessarily, besides maybe chocolate, but it hasn't been that difficult. A lot of times I really enjoy smoothie places. Those are good lunch places for me. And then for dinner, so anyways, I think I got off topic there, but I usually use the website Happy Cow, and you can find, that's like the easiest place to find vegan restaurants anywhere. And if there are vegan restaurants, it's pretty much super easy to find, you know, something that's plant-based, that's healthy, that's oil-free and gluten-free. And if not, they can usually make it that way. You just have to maybe call ahead. It's usually, I end up calling ahead a lot to restaurants before. I usually don't go to a restaurant that I don't know about until I call ahead, or unless I call ahead. So that's one thing that I like to do that helps. But if I'm not, I don't always have vegan restaurants when I'm out of town or when I'm going places. Those aren't always an option. So the three, I'd say it's, there's about 4 types of foods that you can always get that are very easy to get vegan. You still might want to call ahead on this, but you can pretty much guarantee that any sushi place, you can get vegan avocado rolls and cucumber rolls. Those are my favorite, but you could always request like, a lot of places actually have vegan rolls at Japanese places. Like there's like an apple, the AAA at, I can't remember the place, Blue Nami or something, that it's like apple, avocado, and asparagus, I think, and that one's really good. But like pretty much any sushi restaurant can do something like that, like put like lemons and cucumbers together, and I like things like that. But depending on how comfortable they feel with experimenting, I know Mikuni's sometimes they've been amazing with like my vegan requests, and sometimes they're just like, you know, the things are always like palatable that they make, and I don't mind, because it's cool when a chef is like, yeah, I'll try making something new. Like one time I had a chef at Mikuni's make It's a spicy tuna roll, but they did it with tomatoes, chopped like minced tomatoes instead of the tuna, and that was so good. But that's only happened one time where, you know, somebody was like, sure, that sounds really easy, and then other times, you know, people are like, oh, we can't do that, you know. But it's always, it doesn't hurt to ask, and depending on how hungry you are too, like sometimes, you know, there's more time to wait or to figure out, you know, what there is to eat, or to talk with the waiter, depending on how busy the place is. I don't try to like make them make something for me, you know, like I'd prefer just to be full and to eat something that I enjoy. But like sometimes there's like some really good, you know, chefs and people that are really willing to like please, and I always like that. So sushi was my number one place. Then Mexican food. You can pretty much always guarantee Mexican food, like they can make something vegan. They usually, most Mexican food places that I know of have vegetarian stuff on their menu. If not vegan options. And then vegetarian is just so close to being vegan that it's just, you know, take out the cheese and you're there pretty much, except for if there's like eggs, but they don't do that in most things. So the one thing I would say to look out for is to make sure that you're getting gluten-free tacos in Mexican food. And I personally I'm really about getting GMO-free corn. I think that's really important, but that is kind of one case where I let that slide and I don't worry about it, even though I try not to, like, I shouldn't think about it, but like, it's just, you know, sometimes it's just good to have food in your belly and it's needed, and tacos are always good. So, I usually do something like that, but if I don't feel comfortable, or if they don't have corn tortillas as an option, then I usually get like a burrito bowl. And you could pretty much like think of it this way, is like if you walk into a restaurant and they have food that you would love to eat, then just like request sometimes. Like usually I start with like, okay, I want a burrito, take out the cheese. If there's meat, take out the meat. Double check on the guacamole, make sure they don't add anything funny in there. Like sometimes they put sour cream or mayo. Usually they don't, but if they do, then I just get plain avocado on top, because they pretty much always have, that's like a guarantee that they'll have that in there. And then beans. And I usually don't get rice because rice has oil. But the beans, you do have to ask. You have to double check and make sure that they don't have lard in them. Usually if they're whole beans, most places have the option of whole beans or refried beans, because if they do the refried beans, some people don't like lard. Most people actually, I don't think anyone really thinks like, lard's appetizing. But anyways, so beans, you can usually get like lettuce and then pico de gallo and guacamole. And like one or two of those is usually pretty good and filling. I have to say, like, I've had some really amazing vegan Mexican food, and it doesn't always have to be from a vegetarian or vegan restaurant. Chipotle is very easily vegan, but you do have to look out for, it's kind of gross, but like they kind of like things just get tossed around, and cheese and stuff very easily gets in the pico de gallo, and I've had that happen probably more times than I know about. But what I do, and I try to be as polite as possible, but I just state like, oh, can you make sure there's no dairy in it or no cheese? And they usually, like, if you say that, they're really careful about it, and it's only the times that I haven't that like things have happened. Pretty much, as far as I know. But yeah, I'd say more than twice I've found like little pieces of cheese in the burrito bowls there. And it's kind of, to me, it's kind of turned me off from eating there in some ways, because I know that it doesn't feel good to find stuff like that in there. To me, it's gross. But I know to most people they wouldn't mind at all. So I try to not let it bother me. But that happens, more times than I probably even know about, unfortunately. But it is an option when there's really nothing else to eat. And let's see, so let's go on with the list. So I usually, if I can, I eat sushi, Mexican food, and then Thai food. Thai food is like one of the easiest ones to get vegan, because they make like a bunch of dishes that already are vegan usually. Not every place does. So it's always good to call ahead, or to know the place before, or to talk with the owner or the waitress or whoever, and just to see, just ask them, you know, and most Thai food places are really knowledgeable about that, and they know, you know, how to make it vegan if it isn't. My favorite dishes in Thai food places usually are spring rolls. Those are very easy. They usually are vegan. If they're not, then the only thing is sometimes they have like an option to put meat in there. I typically don't eat tofu. If I don't have to, I'll eat vegetables instead. I do like the taste of tofu, and it has calcium in it, but it can leach minerals out of your body, and it can be GMO also. So I typically just go for more vegetables if I can. They usually, no one ever minds that. They're like, you know, I think it's cheaper, but maybe not. I don't know. It's definitely cheaper than meat. So I haven't run into a restaurant that's ever minded that. And then also sometimes you have to check to see if they, there's one place that I've ever been to that has like brown butter sauce for their spring rolls, but they're really, really like more than happy to like replace that with, they have the other Thai peanut sauce that is the typical one that they serve their spring rolls with. So it's good to check stuff like that. And then one of my other favorite things. Yeah, I can. Hold on. I kind of was in the middle of doing my video, but anyways, can you close that door?
What? Yeah.
Please. So, papaya salads are good. But I'm sensitive to MSG also. I should have titled this video eating out with eating gluten-free, vegan, oil-free, gluten-free, and MSG-free, because I stay away from processed foods with that. But yeah, one other place to mention is Jamba Juice. They kind of like sneak MSG into, even if it's vegan, a lot of other things. I've had smoothies that have given me migraines before because of the fruit juice. They put natural flavorings in their fruit juice, and it's really dishonest labeling because MSG can be hidden under natural flavorings. It isn't always, but most of the time, more often than not, what I've found out is I've wished that it wasn't MSG, but it gives me migraines, and it usually is. So, yeah, just look out for that. I forgot where I was even going with. Oh, okay. So the papaya salads. I've eaten Thai food with papaya salads that had, I don't know why it's the papaya salads, but they put natural flavorings in some of the seasonings that they put on them sometimes. Most places don't, but since I'm so sensitive to it, since I notice when I eat stuff like that, I just don't even, I don't even get papaya salads usually anymore. Unless it's a really good restaurant and they can you can talk to them about MSG and stuff. And it's so hard though, because it's like, even if they say there is an MSG in it, it can be still, because it can say natural flavorings on the label instead. And it's just basically if they're using like pre-made pastes or sauces or things, then it can be in there, or maybe they're adding it in. I don't think any restaurants really do that, like behind the counter, like sprinkle on MSG on things anymore, but it happens. So anyways, I don't get papaya salads at most Thai food places because of that, and I've just had to learn from experience. Like, it's happened too many times to where I don't like, taking that chance. So what I live off of at Thai food restaurants are usually the curries. I've never had an issue with the curry and having, MSG in it or anything, but the curries at any Thai food restaurant are usually vegan. You do have to check, but they usually have a vegetable option or a meat option, and you can go for tofu or more vegetables or meat usually. And most Thai food places, their sauces are already vegan, so I usually get those. And yeah, I think my favorite curries, these are just my favorite ones, but my favorite is the pumpkin curry. I think the Penang curry is usually really good anywhere. And then red, green curries, like yellow. I like all of them. I think that's pretty much all the curries that there are. But yeah, if I could eat like 3 curries in one meal, I probably would. But that's usually one's pretty filling. And I like to try to balance, because I know the coconut oil can be a lot of oil. I've never had a candida issue with eating a curry before from coconut oil, but well, canned coconut milk. I mean, coconut oil is a different story because it's processed and they separate the oil from the milk. So I have an issue with that. I know from experience that stuff has caused my candida to get worse. And then let's see. Oh, for dessert, I usually get the mango sticky rice. That one's like, I think sometimes they might add milk to that, but usually they don't. That one is pretty much always a vegan option. So it's good to always ask. If it's a place that you haven't ever eaten before at, then I always double check. But most places like that are vegan. And those are my three, I think I said three main restaurants that I like to eat at. But technically you could eat anywhere. I also really like pizza places if they have gluten-free crusts. And usually you can kind of, I mean, it takes getting to know the place and checking, but some have very little oil. Sometimes they only need to use oil to like not make it stick in the pan. So I haven't had any issues with that. So I kind of get pizza every once in a while because I like pizza. Preferably I just make it at home. And there is actually a crust that I'll link down below that created a pizza crust. I don't remember the name of it, but it's just made from like rice and potato starch. So that's awesome. And it doesn't have any oil or anything. So I make those at home and they're really good. It's just like a flat crust. It's not doughy, but it's, you can make it like super yummy. The last one that I made, I ate before I could even take a picture of it, but it had like avocados and corn, and if I had arugula, I'd put that. I think I put some type of grains on it, and tomatoes and mushrooms, and if you wanted to get fancy, you could put garlic on it. But anyways, and then there's just tomato sauce, and it was really good. So, I definitely don't feel like I'm starving on this diet. If anything, I know I was eating like too much for a while. So it's really like just about learning, you know, what places are available and where you can eat at. But technically, I mean, I feel like I could eat anywhere in any town. But you know, not always. If the town only has like a McDonald's and a Denny's, then I would probably be out of luck. But most places have some sort of healthy option, and more and more places are like really catering to vegans and vegetarians. So it definitely makes a difference, and it's made a huge difference in how I feel. I've recently healed my thyroid and have just been feeling a lot better and having more energy. So that's always a good thing. So yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to talk about in this video. If I forgot anything, I'll post it down below. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll link the Happy Cow website also. There's also an app for it, but I think that one's not free. Yeah, that's pretty much, those are all my tips for where I eat and the food that's the best options, I'd say. Yeah, anyways, I hope everyone enjoyed this video and found it useful.